Welcome to the Sneaking Into the Movies podcast. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Jimmy. And this week, we're talking about the highly anticipated 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. But first,
we got to talk about our Sneaking Into the Movies Marathon, which is our new competition that you can participate in. We announced this last week, so if you tuned into the podcast last week, you heard about this, or you might have seen it on Instagram. We've got the post up on Instagram right now, has all the information you need to know to get involved in the contest. Basically, you watch movies and you can win prizes. So if you're interested in that, go check it out on our Instagram. Follow us. We're also on TikTok as well. And let's get into the Bone Temple.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
so I've been very much looking forward to this, Max. What about you? You've been hyped for The Bone Temple?
I can't say I've been super hyped for it because, like I said, like you said, I didn't enjoy 28 Years Later as much as you did. I liked it. I definitely did. I was going into this with some optimism because I thought the trailers were even better than the great trailers for 28 Years Later.
Which is insane because 28 Years Later had the best trailer ever made, point blank, period.
The trailers for these movies are fantastic. And this movie centers more on Ray Fiennes' character and also Jack O'Connell's character from the last movie. And those two pieces of the last movie, I thought, were the most interesting part of it by far. So I was really excited to kind of spend more time with the parts of that movie that I kind of wish I got some more of. And I got to tell you, Norman, I wasn't disappointed. And you know what else I got to tell you? Steal of the draft.
Yeah, that was Steal of the Draft. I was pissed, as y'all heard, when he stole it from me. I thought I had a little extra time. I thought maybe you were like, oh, it's coming out next week. Who cares? But yeah, I thought this was great.
Yeah,
It seems like we're on the same page here.
We're definitely on the same page. I'm not just gonna say it's great. Okay. We'll talk about some box office later, but there's some troubling stuff there. But I'm planting my flag right now. Okay. I'm not gonna ask people to do this all the time. You only get so many of these. You can't ask people to go see every movie. But this movie is fucking fantastic. Okay, like I loved it. I thought it was the best movie I've seen in a while. It would have made my top 10 or top 12 for last year. And Nia DaCosta is a really great up and coming director. And I think people should go see this movie. That's if you're not doing anything right now, purchase that ticket. That's what I have to say. But yeah, no. I thought it was utterly amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think I'd still say I prefer 28 Years Later. I guess we'll see after a rewatch or time passes. But yeah, I thought this was awesome. Like you said, I also thought like Dr. Kelson was the most interesting part about 28 Years Later, and that just really, really resonated with me throughout the entire year up to seeing this movie. Just like I love that so much. I think he's one of the awesome, just great characters we've gotten in movies the last couple of years.
Yes, he's even better here too, in my opinion.
I think I think overall I'd say he's better. But yeah, I think this was great. This was very cool. This definitely, I will say, feels like the second out of a third movie. So I'm glad we're getting that third movie. They greenlit it a couple weeks ago. I was getting nervous because 28 Years came out and it was doing real well, and they just were kind of radio silent on doing the third one. I was like, please let this happen. Please let this happen. And we're getting it, and I'm very excited for it. But yeah, I thought this was great.
We'll still see. I mean, the box office is it's troubling, but I, like you, really want that third movie. So
yeah, I think this one's getting really good reviews.
It is.
I haven't seen an audience score yet, but yeah, like Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's been blowing up for a while. So.
We got an A- cinema score, which is really
That's
rare
fantastic.
for this kind of movie.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, it's gross. Like I can see a lot of people This was a much calmer movie than the first one.
It was.
There were two moments in this one where I had to look away, which I didn't have to at all during 28 Years Later.
Spoilers for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. What were they?
Samson eating the guy's head and just like picking out part of the brain.
Okay. Yeah.
Just looking like it looked like sushi. I don't know. It was disgusting.
It was white too. It was real.
Yeah. It was like really just never had seen. Yeah, like
looked like feta cheese or something.
Yeah, usually when someone's ripping open someone's head in a movie or something, it just looks so fake and stuff. It just looks so disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like the grimiest. There's few places I'd rather live in movies than in the UK in the 28.
just in the UK.
Yeah, for those of y'all who don't remember, in these movies, this is only going on in the UK. So, and they just shut it down. So like, North America, the rest of Europe, like it's normal, you know.
It's
we could be out there recording this podcast, all things considered.
It's a really interesting premise, like, because when you think about it, it's kind of realistic. Like if they were able to contain it fast enough, like probably be business as usual everywhere else, you know, like it'd probably be fine. But yeah, it's a really interesting premise. Let's talk a little about why we thought this movie was so fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about the cinematography. The last movie shot on some adapted iPhone 15s. And we talked about that on our episode last year for 28 Years Later. But yeah, no, they shot it on iPhone 15s that were, you know, kind of rigged up, and they did like, you know, crazy stuff like bullet time, and the camera's moving all over the place a lot of the time. This movie, like you said, is a lot calmer than that movie. We're kind of taking a step back. We're kind of hanging out with like a couple of characters rather than like a couple of characters we got to get to this place because we have this grand mission, and it's this epic zombie movie. This is very much, let's see how some characters are dealing with this world. And this movie shot on Arri Alexa digital camera. How did you think this movie was like? What did you think of the cinematography in this movie?
I thought it looked really nice. Yeah, like you said, this was a much calmer, just quiet's the wrong word, but kind of quiet movie for the most part. I mean, like I said, you see some pretty nasty stuff. The second moment for me was when they were skinning the shirts. They were removing their shirts, as they called it.
Yeah, the charity.
That was disgusting. Yeah, that was disgusting. But yeah, I thought it was shot incredibly well. Loved how calm it was. Anytime the camera like was on Samson while he was on the morphine, and when he was looking around, I loved it. A lot of just cool establishing shots of stuff shot in very particular ways. Like there's kind of a fisheye look to some of it sometimes, or like coming from down here.
Yeah,
and like showing off the temple. It just looks really cool.
General, like the way they shoot Samson when he's kind of like in his like enraged state, when they get like you said, they get up like real kind of close and low on him. Really cool stuff. And I don't know if the camera is like attached to him in those moments.
It looks like it.
It looks like it is.
But it just really adds to that like griminess, and it's like uncomfortable even like to look at.
Yes.
Which obviously, like we said, they nail in 28 Years Later. But I think they did a good job doing something very similar here, but still being very different and having a different visual identity. I think
it really, you know, helps this movie. Like it gives it a nice little, like all of these movies are shot in different ways, and it has a nice little, you know, it's a nice switch up from the last movie. It's very, very different. But yeah, I mean, it was really good. That aspect of it was really good too. Let's talk about performances. We talked about Ralph Fiennes a little bit. Norman, what'd you think of his performance here?
He's just exceptional. I mean, he was in 28 Years Later. Like I said, he was my favorite part. Just so, and shout out to the market. Like we've already been talking about the marketing teams on these movies, but especially with that first one, when those trailers came out, they totally fooled you on Dr. Kelson. Like you thought you'd come to the Bone Temple and like he'd eaten all these people or something crazy like that, but he's just so calm and collected, and just very well spoken. Obviously, like you can totally imagine like who he was before all this went down, and I don't know the kind of people he hung around, like high society. I don't know, for lack of better words, but yeah, he's incredible in these.
Yeah.
I'm really bummed out he's not going to be in the third one. I wasn't really expecting that like at all.
You thought he was going to make it?
Kinda, yeah. But it's a movie about zombies, so maybe he will. Maybe Samson will do something to bring him back. But yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
I would agree with that. Do you think he's going to come back? Do you think that's a possibility?
Probably not.
I would tend to lean that way, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because the whole movie is sort of built around his relationship with Samson, this infected guy he finds, and they kind of develop a bond throughout the movie as he's kind of rehabilitating him almost. And then at the end of the film, Samson kind of reaches like lucidity, like he's just awake now. He's fixed, essentially. And every time he spoke in the movie, I was like chills. I was like, oh my,
yeah.
like I wasn't when he first says moon, like I was holding the chair. I was gripping the chair.
Like
I was
Samson, I was like Dr. Kelson, bro. I was like, what?
Yeah, and he's about to kill him in that moment too. It was just nuts. So yeah, at the end of the movie, we kind of have him kind of like carrying Dr. Kelson away, and it's not the implication. Dr. Kelson makes this massive discovery, but it's almost as if, the massive discovery that could potentially save the world is still, like, no matter what, going to be contained within this one special relationship that we saw in the movie. There's no illusions that this is going to, like, fix the world. And Samson and Dr. Kelson just kind of walk off. Like, Samson's not a doctor. He was presumably a child when the outbreak started, it seems like, right?
Yeah, there's the flashback.
Yeah.
They showed him as a kid.
I thought that train sequence was phenomenal as well.
Yeah, it was very, very cool.
It's, you're flashing from, young Samson's kind of like walking around and he's like, kind of like remembering his past, and the infected are following behind him as well. You see it and you're like, oh dude, like he's gonna die right as they're about to make this massive breakthrough. I really like the scene because it kind of touches on like like having to like grow up really fast, and that's kind of probably what Samson had to deal with, like, or not, because he got bitten by zombies or whatever. But the cut to like all of the people just like staring at him on the train as a child, and then it kind of cuts to like an older version of him as well at the same time. It's kind of like, it's pretty well done, that scene, I thought. But yeah, did you think he was gonna die? Like, did you think that was gonna be wraps for Samson there?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Even when all those the infected were there, I was like, Samson's a train, bro. Like no one's stopping that dude.
Yeah. he's a kickboxer in real life.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have his name off the top of my head here, but incredible performance from him too.
Yes. Chai Lewis Perry.
Chai Lewis Perry. Yeah, I read that him and Ralph Fiennes have kind of become friends now. I don't know if you saw that, but pretty sweet. You think we'll be seeing him in part 3, Samson?
I don't know. It could be cool. Because seemingly he's just this invincible tank now. Can't be infected. He's kind of he's lucid. He's like a human being again.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see him potentially help out Cillian Murphy and the gang. But yeah, no, that's kind of how the movie ends. We kind of end with Cillian Murphy. You've seen 28 Days Later, right?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when that was going down?
I mean, you and I just talked about this. This has been spoiled for a while. Like years ago, Cillian said he'd come back for the third one and that he was going to be in the second one. I never forgot about that. I was still very excited when he popped up. yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with him. I mean, 28 days, like he doesn't really have like a definitive end. It's kind of like whatever could have happened to him, and obviously, it's 28 years later, so he's gone through a lot. Very Last of Us.
Yeah.
That game took a ton from these movies, though, and I think these movies take a lot from the games now, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see where all that goes. I don't know. It's cool. I mean, obviously, he's a phenomenal actor, if you can believe it or not. He won an Oscar a couple of years ago.
Yep.
He's in this really good movie called Oppenheimer, Max. I don't know if you saw it.
I
It
didn't.
was on your radar. Oh, okay.
I don't know what that is.
It was cool. It's about nuclear bombs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very good movie. But yeah, I'm curious to see. Spike's in good hands. We'll say.
I love Spike.
Man. I felt so bad for him during this movie. I was like, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Jimmies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for anyone listening to this who hadn't seen these, A, what are you doing? But B, that's why we introduced ourselves as the Jimmies, Jimmy and Jimmy, because Spike joins this ragtag team of dudes named the Jimmies. They pop at the end of 28 Years Later, probably the most controversial part of that movie. That was a very make or break scene for a lot of people I saw and a lot that I read. They just come out of nowhere doing Power Rangers flips and stuff, which is incredible because they never do anything like that in this movie. Like you can tell they're skilled, but they don't do any flips like that, which just makes it, I think, even funnier. And I like that ending when it came out because it really just was like a whoa, kind of thing.
And even, like at the end of that movie, they're kind of made out to be like he's getting chased by zombies and then they kill all the zombies and save him. It's kind of like they're portrayed as more heroic individuals in that moment. You kind of there's a you're still waiting to see who they are, but they just saved the main character. So you're kind of, I was at least kind of like, oh, maybe these guys are gonna help out. Like maybe this is gonna be a productive relationship here, if you will. No, it won't. These guys are fucking nuts. The movie starts out with Spike kind of having to do this ritual where they, the Jimmies got to fight each other. He's got to take out one Jimmy to join the Jimmies. Great introduction to the movie. Really cool stuff. Kind of seeing how Spike is also, we kind of knew what Spike was like based off of the last movie, but Spike is also kind of coming into his own and kind of becoming a man. That's what 28 Years Later is largely about. But he's still kind of, trying to figure out how to be the, take charge for himself. He's a little bit, scared of everything going on. Rightfully so. It's a scary world.
So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he basically kills the guy on accident and gets into the group. And then he meets Jimmy Inc., I believe is what they call her, but it's the Jimmy played by Erin Kellyman, who we later learn is named Kelly. Let's talk about her for a second. We saw her in Captain America, or whatever that show was called. Yeah, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, whatever it's called. And she's a pretty good part of that show, I thought. I mean, the writing of her character falls off a cliff, near the middle and end of it.
But same with Solo.
Same with the movie Solo.
Yeah,
she's in that.
She's like Infus Nest or whatever his name is. She's the leader of like those. The gang of like
Star Wars shit.
Like the Star, yeah, like they're like the scavenger gang, and like towards the end of the movie, they like meet up on that sand planet with Han. I don't know, I haven't seen that movie in a while, but yeah, she plays the leader of them.
Yeah,
she's also in the Green Knight very briefly.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's been working for a little bit now, and I've liked her. I loved her in this movie. I thought she was, kind of. She's not, Jack O'Connell or Ray Fiennes, but she is kind of like the heart of the movie a little bit, like especially at the end, because she's kind of her whole role that we see that she's like extremely competent, but like not really down for like all of the Jimmy shenanigans. She's down for it. Like she's there and she's willing to participate and kind of like see where it's going. She's curious about the whole, old Nick stuff and what everything that's going on there and the community also. That's a lot of what this movie is about, is kind of like finding community in a world where it's really hard to find that stuff.
Which couldn't be more relevant than today.
Yes.
That's the reason so many people are fucking insane now, is because they have no sense of community. It's sad, really. That's why people will go crazy. That's why people become incels. Just find someone to talk to. They might be a little different than you, but you'll probably have more in common than you think.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's like a good representation of how like people kind of like fall into their own, little rabbit holes online, and they end up being part of the, online Jimmies or whatever. That can it's the kind of thing that can happen.
Very COVID, I think really played a big part in making these movies, and just like what that did to people, other than the, obviously implication of like an actual virus, but like what that did to people, how we all kind of isolated ourselves. Very interesting stuff.
Definitely.
It's a very well made movies, very well written movies. Shout out Alex Garland. He's killing it with these 28 Years Later movies. I thought his last two movies were like awful. So I really appreciate that he's really good at writing these. Yeah.
I'm on the opposite end of those. I kind of love everything that Alex Garland does outside of most of Men.
Men's that's like a bottom 5 stinker, man. Like that is like you can't come back from that. And same with Civil War. I thought Civil War was terrible, but I'm really liking these 28 Years Later movies. These are fantastic.
They're really good, and with Kelly being like the kind of like central force of the movie, like what that allows them to do is kind of explore this idea where like a lot of the movie is about faith. Like that's kind of like the whole thing. You have Dr. Kelson, who's basically the representative, like the atheist in the movie, and you have Sir Jimmy Crystal, played by Jack O'Connell, who's kind of the Satanist, as Dr. Kelson calls him. He's, he is a Satanist. Keeps referring to
Jimmy's, the son of Satan.
Yes. Keeps referring to old Nick. Old Nick is his father, and he wants to see his father. That's why he goes to see Dr. Kelson, because he's curious about whether or not he is actually Satan, which he isn't. But they have a nice little conversation. That was probably my favorite part of the movie. Outside, the end is great, but that conversation that they have, I thought was amazing. It's just two...
That was even more than the end, that was my favorite part of the movie.
It's two fantastic performers having a conversation that is written by an awesome writer. Like it's just amazing stuff. That entire scene,
just one in a million filmmaking.
Yeah. And
that was my favorite part of the movie.
It's so interesting how you have the two characters there. Jimmy being a guy who was like 8 years old or something, like even younger when the outbreak started. So he doesn't even really know what the world was like prior to that. He only knows this violent brutality and, the traumatic moment at the beginning of 28 Years Later where he saw the infected rip apart his entire family. He only knows that brutality. And Dr. Kelson is very much a guy who like kind of understands what the old world was like and is attempting to kind of bring some of that old world into this new world with his rehabilitation of Samson and all the stuff that he's kind of about with the bone temple and everything. It's great stuff. It's really great stuff. And you kind of see like, like with Kelly, she comes in and she's like, you could see that she's like, wants to believe the old Nick stuff, but she's skeptical. Like she doesn't really buy it the whole time. And then, you have that ending. You have that ending where Spike is talking to Ray Fiennes as Ray Fiennes has the knife in him. And I believe like I believe it's Kelly who says something along the lines of like, so you're not him, you're not old Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no. And he's like, he says, I believe the quote is, there's nothing, it's just us.
Yeah.
Which is like, what do you make of that line?
I mean, obviously, yeah, he's an atheist. So, I don't know. I mean, if you've survived 30 years from this, how could you ever believe in God? He talks about earlier in the movie, like he's seen these people kill children and babies and all this stuff. You mean the Jimmies? Like, these guys are freaks. And right before he does get stabbed, like Jimmy's talking about all the things he's gonna do, essentially, which is why he kind of changes his mind. Yeah, I did really like that line.
I think I thought it was incredible too. Like, yeah. And when you have, I believe Kelly's response as well is, well, you put on a good show, like, and it's like it's that awesome thing where it's like, it's a line that's kind of like scary and helpless. Like, it makes you feel like scared and helpless that there's nothing, like it's just us, but it's also that community is what matters most. Like the thing that they created there that day with, the show and kind of like experiencing all of that. And now there's this new bond between Spike and Kelly, and also Ray Fiennes in that moment, although that's going to get cut short.
Hope too.
Yeah. And hope. And it's just such a beautiful movie, I thought. But yeah, no. And then Spike and Kelly go off on their little adventures.
I don't know how you didn't love 28 Years Later.
I gotta rewatch it because I said I'm gonna rewatch, or I'm gonna watch days. Should I watch weeks and months? Is there a months?
No.
Okay, I'll watch.
Weeks isn't very good, but you should watch Weeks. Just
okay.
Weeks.
Is Weeks Danny Boyle, or did they give it to somebody else?
I think they gave it to someone else.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, with 28 Years Later, because all these things I thought were so good in this one, they did them better, I feel like, in the first one.
Yeah.
I don't mean to dog on this. I had a great time with the Bone Temple. It's looking like a good year for movies, but there's a decent chance I'm here talking about this in my top 12 at the end of the year. Same with 28 Years Later.
I loved it. I could definitely see it in the top 12 for me.
Yeah, I could too. Especially, man, with those needle drops. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
This movie had some needle drops, Max. One of my favorite songs ever was in this movie. Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead. I was smiling when that movie was playing, getting beautiful shots at the Bone Temple, Dr. Kelson cooking. Max, you remember the last movie this song was in?
It happened in something recently, didn't it?
I'll tell you, it was the last 5 years. There was a movie came out in theaters that had this song in it.
I remember a TV show that did it.
What TV show?
It's the end of Daredevil. The last Daredevil season, the
You
Daredevil
are so
Born
right.
Again thing.
Yeah.
And that song is so good that it'll make you convinced that the last 8 episodes of television you watched wasn't garbage.
Yeah, or convince you that The Creator is not the most boring movie ever made.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, that movie was
like
mid.
Yeah, there's like a scene where they're taking off and they play that song. But
yeah,
first good movie to use this song in a great scene. Great job. Big fan. There's a lot of Duran Duran. Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. But there's one needle drop I feel like we'll be talking about more than the rest. You want to talk about it, Max?
Yeah, so Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast plays in a very climactic scene towards the end of the movie, in which Ray Fiennes, as Dr. Kelson, puts on his show, where, Jimmy and him had that conversation where he was like, if you don't pretend to be Satan in front of my friends, I'm going to feed you your own intestines, he basically says.
Yeah.
He says, intestines. Jack O'Connell's great. But so he puts on the show, and then he's basically got, Iron Maiden playing. He's got the Bone Temple going. He lights a ring on fire around them. It's awesome. It is one of the best scenes you'll see in a movie this year, I would think. Just great stuff. What did you think of that scene?
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Very, very wacky. Um, yeah, man. Ralph should be nominated for Oscars for these. They won't, but like, if he's getting nominated for Conclave, nominate him for these, man.
Yeah. This wasn't like it's just such a good movie, such good performances. Like I planted my flag at the beginning of the episode, but man, like if you have a chance to see this, like go see it. Like it's really really great.
First one's on or 28 Years Later is on Netflix. Check that one out too if you haven't yet. Think this would be you'd probably have a decent time with this anyways, but definitely benefits extremely from seeing the first one.
Mhm.
But yeah, what else you want to talk about here, Max? Anything else?
Yeah,
Temple?
real quick, I want to talk about the basically like the idea of the infected. You mentioned on the last podcast, or there was kind of something that Danny Boyle kind of tripped up and like called them zombies, but like they were like we don't call them zombies like for a while before. You mentioned that to me. And I kind of flagged it because, they're still doing they're doing the 28 Years Later Bone Temple press tour now. And Nia DaCosta's getting asked about it. And it's like, so are they zombies or not? We think they're zombies. Like it's a zombie movie. It's easy. You can call it that.
Look like a zombie, walk like a zombie.
Yeah. And so in this movie, you have Ray Fiennes kind of, thinking, what if there's more to the infection? Like what if they're not gone? Like what if this is just, they call them the infected. What if you can treat the infection? And that's kind of what he does throughout the movie. And then he ultimately rehabilitates Samson. Samson becomes a fully fledged immune human gigantic man after the movie. Or by the end of the movie. And so I think that's like after this movie, I can kind of see where they're coming from, where they're like, well, they're not zombies. This is a different thing. Because it's like with this movie, I feel like they put in the work. Like it was like, okay, these are people who have an infection, and if given the proper treatment and honestly like kindness, like the movie kind of goes out of its way to suggest that kindness in the face of the unknown is kind of the answer in a lot of ways. He is taking a massive chance. I mean, Ray Fiennes at the beginning of the movie, he's kind of like, I don't think he gives a shit about whether he dies at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, when he goes to sleep.
Yeah. Because he kind of puts the sleeping bag up and goes to sleep next to Samson as he's kind of like coming out of the, whatever he puts in, morphine.
The trance, we'll call it.
The trance, yeah. And he just kind of sleeps there, and he's like, goes to bed and then wakes up, and then he does his little dance after. He's like, oh, something happened there. So yeah, what'd you just generally speaking, what'd you think of Ray Fiennes and Samson in this movie?
Oh, I mean, it's beautiful. I loved every second of it. Just really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this idea of, like the zombies, but it's like a psychosis thing.
Yeah.
Interesting to see where they take it. I really hope they do bring Samson back. I don't know. I don't really care if they save the world or whatever, but it'd just be cool to see more of that or expand on that more. Yeah, I thought that was one of the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
very, very sweet. I was almost in tears by the end when he carried him out of the Bone Temple.
What'd you make of that last bit? Like, so we kind of see, Sir Jimmy Crystal is basically crucified, hanging on an upside down cross, and Samson goes to pick up Dr. Kelson and he says, thank you. He walks away with him, but Jimmy sees Satan, basically.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that? Like, what do you make of that?
I think my man Sir Jimmy Kimmel. Whoa,
Jimmy
yeah,
Kimmel.
Sir Jimmy Kimmel. I think Jimmy Crystal has some serious daddy issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dr. Kelson is probably the first person who's ever talked to him like any kind of authority or parental figure. Just that calm demeanor, Probably something he hasn't had since before the infection.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I think he kind of really wished he was his dad, or wanted to believe that he was the devil and he was his dad.
That it was real.
Yeah, even during that conversation we talked about, that it really was real.
Yeah.
You kind of tell, he wanted it to be real, which I liked a lot.
I think, I really, I didn't even think of that. Like, that's definitely there. But there's a lot of, this movie's about faith. There's, like, religious subtext. Kelson kind of, like, Samson, I feel like, is a kind of, like, Jesus figure in the movie, somewhat. Like, Kelson is basically resurrecting him throughout the movie, and he represents a kind of hope, like you said. Like, the movie's kind of about hope. He represents there's the fact that there's something more out there to, achieve. There's more to this world than they think there is. And you kind of see what you need to see. Faith is your lens through which you view the world. And, Jimmy ultimately sees Satan walking away. And I think that that's what he needed to see in that moment. That's what he just really wanted.
Yeah.
We alluded earlier to the fact that this movie might not be doing so hot at the box office. And yet, disappointingly, Bone Temple's going to come in behind expectations. Made $15 million during the 4-day MLK weekend, which is not very good. That comes in behind the projections going into the weekend, which they had at $20 million, and it comes in way below the last movie, which opened to $30 million in its 3-day opening weekend in June. Norman, what do you make of this?
There's a couple of factors. I want to start off with, I don't think this movie was marketed very well.
Okay.
Straight up. I think the trailers were great, like we talked about. I just don't think it was on that many people's radar.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, it released in January, which is a notoriously terrible month for movies. Obviously, this was good. We love this. It's very cool. It came out in January, but a lot of people just kind of skip the movies in January because it's kind of the dumping ground in a lot of ways. We have an exciting January. We have this in the Sam Raimi movie, which is really cool, but yeah, typically you don't go to the movies in January.
January's kind of become like a horror month in some ways. Like we had like Megan was a January movie back in the day. It feels like
but that got a lot of just like buzz and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big social media thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not as big as Blumhouse thought, obviously. We saw Megan too,
yeah.
Right? But yeah, I even think 28 years later, I think that a lot of people weren't too crazy about it. I think a lot of people liked it. Obviously, did really well. I think a lot of people, like I said, really didn't like that ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this movie kind of rides on. Like I know people who probably aren't going to see this because they thought the ending was stupid. I'm going to try my best to convince them. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we're putting in the work. We're making a whole podcast about it. So
yeah, obviously, like I love the last one, and yeah, we see these movies because we want to see them, but also because we want to do this. But yeah, I think if you didn't rock with that ending, and you see the trailer for this, it's all about the ridiculous blonde people in tracksuits that were doing Power Ranger moves. You might not want to go see it. So I think it's
awesome.
Yeah, which is awesome. Like for someone like me, I'm like, hell yeah, give me whatever this is. But yeah, I just kind of think all those things kind of add up into this movie underperforming. But mainly, yeah, it's in January. Like we said, there's some standout. Was Companion in January last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some movies break the mold, but I think this movie always had an uphill battle.
I think also it's a double-edged sword, but I feel like the fact that this movie is called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple can't really help. You probably gotta put 28 years later somewhere in the marketing, I guess, just to kind of cash in on the IP that people recognize, but at the same time, if you call it the Bone Temple, like that's an objectively better title.
Yeah, and this movie, it has incredible actors. I don't really call them stars, even in the same way. Like someone like Aaron Taylor Johnson, who can be hit or miss with the movies he's in. People generally like him a lot and will go see something if he's in it. Ralph Ineson, I think the crowd. Ralph Ineson, yeah. Like the crowd he tracks are the people.
Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes. I don't know why I'm saying
Ralph Ineson.
Yeah.
Also great.
Also great, yeah, but I'm tired, man. Anyways, yeah, Ralph Fiennes. I don't know. He tracks in a different crowd. The conclave crowd, you could call it. I just think sophisticated is the wrong word. But
it's interesting that you bring that up too, because the conclave crowd is older people who might want to watch movies at home.
Yeah, and don't want to watch something like this. And Jack O'Connell is awesome, and he was one of the standouts from Sinners, but I don't think he's a driving force.
Yeah,
for getting people to go see movies. So I just think there were a ton of factors with this movie. That led to the. Unfortunately, maybe it'll have legs. Maybe
I hope it could. People like it.
I think my theater seemed to enjoy it. During the trailers, everyone was talking. Even during the opening kind of credits ish, everyone was talking. I was like, oh god. Everyone was silent during the movie, which usually means it's because they're sitting down and watching it.
They're locked in.
Yeah, I could see this having some kind of legs. Did you get the budget on this one, Max?
Not quite sure. I did not. If you can find it.
Do a quick Google here.
Yeah. That was the hole in my research this week. But yeah, I also think another thing, the fact that this is kind of a spin-off of the last movie, or that's the way it's
$63 million budget. So that is an uphill battle.
Yeah. It's a big one. Or it's not a big budget as far as, all movies go, but it's a pretty, you come in at 15 million in the opening weekend. That's like you said, it's a tall mountain to climb. I also think that the proximity of the release of the last movie can't help. Like, they released them so close together to the point where it was like it didn't feel like there was enough time for 28 years later to marinate in people's minds and kind of see it on streaming as well. I feel like that's a big factor. We're seeing, like, you look at the Disney movies, this is a little different, but like things like Inside Out 2 and Zootopia 2 coming out to these massive box office totals after people watch them over and over and over again on Disney Plus. Like, streaming is kind of important for, dictating the way that people kind of decide to spend their money. Like, if 28 Years Later had like a couple of years on HBO or whatever, it's like we could have a little bit of a different result, because even more people are going to see it. It's going to get a lot more exposure that way. So I don't know.
Have time to miss it.
Yeah.
I think is the issue, but works for me, man. I love that movie. I was like, cool. We're getting a sequel in 6 months. It's already filmed. We don't have a Spider-Verse situation on our hands. I think the most important thing for me at this point is, like I said, the third one already seems to be greenlit. I think Sony would be beyond ridiculous to be like, oh, we're not going to do it anymore. Because the first one did really well. Like, it kind of blew past some expectations, like you just said, with a big opening weekend and had some solid legs. So I think we still get that third one. This one's not going to be a big box office one, but like I said, critics are really liking it. A- cinema score. People who are going to see it are liking it. And who knows? Yeah, maybe this will be on Netflix in 3 months. It'll be the number one movie for 4 weeks or whatever.
That was the other news that happened this weekend, was that Sony kind of signed a deal with Netflix. There's going to be a lot more Sony movies going directly to Netflix after they go to theaters.
I mean, Sony don't got a lot of big franchise stuff, so they'd be silly to crush this one over one bat. I mean, they have Spider-Man. They'll have Zelda in a couple of years, but Jumanji's coming back. Woohoo!
You like those movies?
I'm not going to go see it. I don't think I'll see
it.
Okay. Unless we do it for this podcast. But yeah, I think we still get the third one.
I hope so. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna make a prediction either way. I genuinely don't know. These box office, this isn't looking good. But it could have legs, like we said. Like, you never know. But I don't know if they lose a lot of money on this one. I don't know how it's gonna affect what Sony does. I don't know if they're making these movies for charity, as Sergio McChrystal says.
Definitely not. But I think enough people saw that first one to where they could kind of justify moving forward with this, even if this one's a little slower.
Yeah, and if they see, I think if you do see it have good legs, like really good legs, they'll probably think like, okay, people want to see Cillian Murphy. Like we kind of pushed the Cillian Murphy stuff. There's already Variety articles spoiling that he's in the movie. And people really want to see Cillian Murphy come back to this, and that's why we'll make the third movie, and we'll make more. I think it's a possibility.
I think the third one will, yeah.
You're standing on it. You're saying third one is coming out.
Yes.
Okay. I like your optimism.
Movie executives, I like your optimism, man, Mr. Netflix over here. I'm gonna ruin the world, man. You see, off topic. You see what Matt Damon said on Joe Rogan this week about Netflix?
I saw a lot of clips from that Joe Rogan, but I didn't see that.
I don't watch Joe Rogan, but I also watch a ton of clips. They're just really not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's a dumbass. But Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, just really smart guys. I can say that he's our podcasting competition. Support your indie podcasts. But he essentially said that when you make a movie for Netflix, you have to reiterate the plot like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie because it's assumed people will be on their phones. Like that is something an executive tells you no matter what kind of movie you're making. If you're making a movie about a bank robbery, every 15 or 20 minutes you have to have a character say, oh yeah, like the bank that we're planning on robbing so we can get your daughter her treatment or something like that.
That's just, also, yeah. What were you going to say?
Just the worst.
Yes.
I hate Netflix. They're going to, that Warner Brothers deal, there's just no.
It's just another reason why theaters are so important because it offers so much more independence to creatives. I feel like, because you have more, if you have studios, more studios in the mix, you have independence. There's just a lot more creative freedom there if everything's going under one umbrella. There's not, you might have a situation where you got an executive telling you got to fucking, explain the plot like out loud for the fucking children who are on their phones. That's just making it's tough because we see it all around us. People are on their phones a lot. I'm on my phone a lot. You're on your phone a lot. We're not on our phones at the movies though. When we're watching movies, we're locked in.
Not
usually.
At the theater, no. But even sometimes when I'm at home, I pull up my phone every once in a while. Yeah. I try not to. I'm usually pretty good about it, but
it's just like that kind of thing, like an executive telling Matt Damon to do that is fucking insane. Like they have so little faith in the audience. They're like, make the movies dumber to match the audience where they're at. That's just fucking insane.
They're not making movies in their eyes. They're making background noise.
Yeah.
Straight up. And I mean, that's what a lot of Netflix stuff is. I mean, how many people do you know who say, I threw that on in the background while I did X, Y, Z?
Which is not, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But if that's like the main way if you don't really watch movies, but like you throw them on in the background, it's like you should be. This is important stuff. That is
a majority of people who have Netflix. I will say that. I can say that. I don't have any statistical evidence. I could just say that right now. I guarantee you, most people who watch a movie on Netflix, whether it be a kid watching K-pop Demon Hunter, an adult watching The Rip or whatever that Matt Damon movie's called.
The Rip, yeah.
They're not really watching it. They're not sitting down and
locking in.
Yeah.
Because Netflix doesn't encourage it.
No, not at all. So yeah, that's another reason why this Warner Brothers deal sucked. Max here's Mr. Optimism about it. So
I was just optimistic about the theatrical window, which days later I seem to have been, at least for now, proven right on. For now, I will say
come back to this years later when I get to give you the biggest "I told you so" ever.
Okay,
When
maybe.
Superman versus Darkseid is in theaters for 15 minutes.
I really hope we don't get Superman versus Darkseid. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No.
Yeah.
Darkseid's a chud, and James Gunn knows it. That's what they
Seems
don't
like
tell
it.
you. He's not a Thanos level.
Is it really like they kind of thought like after Infinity War and that the Thanos stuff came out, the DC people were like, we're gonna push Darkseid because that's the same. That's our guy. That's our Thanos.
Not really. They've been kind of pushing him for a while.
Okay.
The New 52 stuff that came out in like the early 2010s had a big emphasis on Darkseid. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think he's the most interesting. Or he's just not. He definitely looks a lot like Thanos, and he's definitely like powerful, and he does cool stuff. But Thanos has so much more to like his character and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That the movies translate pretty well.
Yeah. Some more box office here before we go.
Yeah.
Speaking of, bold, optimistic predictions, a while back I said that Marty Supreme was going to make $200 million. Now, that prediction was a hopeful one. I don't even know if I thought that was really going to happen, but I was going to say, I was going to put the benchmark out because I was like, I think this movie's going to be great. I want it to succeed. Fuck it. It's going to make $200 million. I don't even know if I believe that shit really. However, it's probably not going to make $200 million, but it's doing quite well. Over the weekend, it became A24's highest grossing film at the domestic box office at $80 million total, and we're at $97 million globally, $17 million overseas. So it's going to make over $100 million, more than likely. And that is a great result for Marty Supreme, and it's probably going to win some Oscars.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's awesome. I love to see it. I didn't think it was going to hit that 200 million, but I hope it makes $1 billion. I hope all these movies do. Yeah, I think it just had one of the best marketing campaigns in years. Kind of we talked about, like, you just got to capture the zeitgeist, and I think we got a movie star.
We do. We definitely do. Especially if he wins that Oscar this year. It's going to be big. It's going to be big for the industry.
Gotta move Dune.
We'll see. Yeah. Did you see their little Downey and Timmy's little thing?
When they said they came up with Doomsday on the spot. Like, we haven't been saying that for months. Yeah. I did, though. That was cool. Crazy RDJ was how much he was talking about Doomsday. Yeah. I mean, he's going to carry that movie at the box office, just straight up. Yeah, that was cool though. Let's talk about Avatar real quick.
Yes.
Sorry, losers and haters. Avatar's still doing really well.
I will say, okay, here's the thing.
All right.
I like Avatar 3 as well. I'm not going to hate. I'm not going to talk about the movie itself here. It's good. I liked it. You think it's amazing. You think it's great. You think it hasn't lost a step. Let's as a movie-going community, we all love Avatar. Okay, we all love going to see Avatar over and over again. Next time we go to the movie theater, let's get a ticket for the Bone Temple. Let's spread the love around. Let's see some new films here. Let's go. So Avatar.
We're just talking about how good Marty Supreme's doing.
Wait, yeah, but again, like, if you haven't seen Marty Supreme, go see Marty Supreme. The reason I say let's go, if you're thinking about buying a ticket to your Avatar third viewing, maybe go see the Bone Temple, is because Avatar 3 beat the Bone Temple at the box office in its opening weekend. Avatar is in its 5th weekend, and it won the box office this weekend at 17 million at the 4-day figure, and it's at 1.23 billion global.
I think adults need to stop seeing Zootopia 2 and go see the Bone Temple.
That's the other news that came out of this weekend. That's pretty significant. There's pretty significant box office news up and down this list. So Zootopia 2 is now the top grossing animated film of all time globally. and it is the 9th highest grossing movie ever at 1.313 billion. Big movie.
I'm pretty sure Zootopia is at like 1.7 now.
I'm actually, yeah, there's no way that number is right. I read that that came off of Variety. We're gonna edit this
1.7
out.
billion.
One,
It's the highest grossing American animated movie ever. Just being beat out by whatever that Chinese movie that came out last year was called.
Ne Zha 2.
Ne Zha 2. Yeah, pretty insane. Still haven't seen it. Saving cinema. Just kidding. My whole family went and saw it without me, and I don't like going to kids' movies by myself.
Yeah,
It's just bad optics.
it's an interesting situation, when you indulge. I remember I went to go see The Bad Guys by myself, and that was interesting. It was just me and the kids.
I saw The Bone Temple by myself. I'll see The Bone Temple by myself, but Zootopia, man, I don't know. I don't want to see it that bad.
Yeah,
Looks kind of funny, but yeah, big box office doing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a pretty solid year for movies.
I hope so.
Box office wise, I mean, yeah.
We're gonna be with you for all of it. We're gonna be with you, the audience, for all of this year. We're covering all the releases,
Except for a couple.
except for a couple that we are
We won't say-
abstaining
we
from.
won't say yet.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
we're not saying what we're gonna abstain from, but just know there are some movies that even we will not cover.
There's one secret movie that we're abstaining from that I'm already getting flack for. So I'm excited to not talk about that movie.
Who are you getting flack from?
Just people, people in my apartment, some of my friends.
Okay.
I've told them about a certain big movie that I'm skipping, and they're like, "Oh, what about for the podcast?" I'm like, "Oh, we're both skipping it." If you know us well enough, you'll know what we're talking about.
if you know us, you probably know what we're talking about. Or you could, if you looked at a release schedule of movies, I'm sure you could infer what we're talking about. But
yeah, but we're seeing pretty much everything else, even some things we really don't want to see. We're going to see.
Yeah.
Now. So.
And next weekend we don't have. Next week we don't have a new release that we're going to be covering. We're going to be doing something special. We're going to be introducing our newest series.
Do I want to tell them what it is, or
I don't know. Do you want to tell them? I was figuring we could save it. We could surprise them, but
let's tell them.
Okay, let them know. Let the people know, Norman.
Since it's your most anticipated movie of this year, even more than Christopher Nolan's, and people really like hearing about Marvel stuff, we are doing Doom Slate this year. It's a nice way for us to fill in little gaps when there's nothing coming out, like the third week in January. So yeah, we've been talking about movies leading up to Avengers Doomsday in December. I won't say too much. We have a very, very big episode planned around Doomsday that we're very excited for. It's not till the end of the year, so we will get there. But yeah, we're going to be filling it in with movies leading up to Doomsday, movies we've seen, some movies we haven't seen. Yeah, we're starting that next week.
Yep.
We'll save the movie for next week. I won't say what movie.
Yeah.
But
You
yeah.
can give them a little hint if you'd like, but nothing more. If you can think of a hint.
It is probably the least connected movie to Doomsday out of all of the ones we are doing, because I think the protagonist is not going to be in Doomsday.
I disagree with most of what you said, so that'll be interesting.
Okay, yeah. So
we'll see on that front, but
all.
yeah, well, that's your hint. If you can guess what it is, props to you. If you can guess what it is, comment it below this podcast
It
on
also
Spotify.
ties
or
into a movie that we are seeing very soon.
Yes, it does. So 2 hints for you. If you can guess what it is, we'll give you a cookie.
Yeah, we will find you and give you a cookie.
Yep.
But yes, we got Doom Slate kind of going all year. We're very excited about that. We got some other things to keep y'all fed on slow weeks. Yeah, we are locked in and excited to talk about movies all year this year.
Yep.
We're excited for you to watch movies and win awesome Sneaking in the Movies prizes this month. Trip to the movie on us. Doesn't that sound nice? Just watch some movies, log them, tell us about it, and you get to pick an episode for us. You can pick a good movie. My buddy Sam's already talking about watching so many movies just to sabotage us every month. And I say, let it happen, man. I love talking about good movies and bad movies just the same.
Make us watch Velocipaster. What it's such a good opportunity to make us talk about some garbage.
You want to talk? I'll talk about Velocipaster right now.
We'll talk about. You ride or die for the Velocipaster.
Or someone give us. There's a Tubi movie that keeps popping up on my TV called The Grinch Stole Bitches.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah. So
Tubi classics. Tubi's got some bangers.
But yeah, it's an exciting year here for us sneaking into the movies. Stick around. Anything else, Max?
I think we're good. I think that's all for the Bone Temple episode. Please go watch the movie. We really liked it.
Buy tickets to it.
Yeah, buy
Even
tickets.
If you're not going to see it.
Yeah, you can, you can if you really want to see Avatar that bad, buy a ticket for the Bone Temple and walk into the Avatar thing.
If you plan on seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day this year, get a ticket to Bone Temple.
Yeah.
They're both Sony, so it'll make Spider-Man better. I'm not going to explain how that works. That's up for your interpretation.
Yeah.
But go see the Bone Temple. I don't know if I'll go on if we don't get a third one of these.
Yeah. Me neither. So we need that third one. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.